Okay, amazing. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear us? Give us a nod. Tell us that you can see us. Great. We're really excited to be here with everyone and celebrate Tu B'Shvat and prepare together for Tu B'Shvat. I was thinking about it that it's like doing a Kabbalat Shabbat. So we're doing a Kabbalat Tu B'Shvat, which is exciting. Usually we don't really get a chance to prepare for Tu B'Shvat ahead of time. And tonight we have this incredible opportunity. So maybe we'll just start off by introducing ourselves. So I'm Nina.
I'm Yoni.
And we have a very special connection to Livnot. I was about Shirut at Livnot for 2 years. And we actually met on the Livnot balcony, which I'm sure many of you who've been to Livnot have incredible magical memories from that balcony. And for us, that was where we met. That's where our journey started.
I married into Livnot.
Right. Yoni married into Livnot, and since we've had the privilege of coming back in the summers and sometimes coordinating programs. In our day-to-day lives, we're musicians. We sing together, Yoni and Nina together. We're called Yonina. And we're very excited to be hosting this evening or introducing the different incredible speakers who are going to be here tonight. We have a special program filled with words of wisdom from different Livnot educators and alumni. We're going to hear some music. We're also going to sing some songs and just get together, get into the Tu B'Shvat atmosphere. So maybe just before we start, a little bit about Tu B'Shvat.
So, first of all, I feel like Tzfat and is all about Tu B'Shvat, because that Tu B'Shvat in a way could be just like a halachic day, like a day that talks about certain laws about growing fruit in Israel and when do you have to just very dry things,
But it isn't.
but it isn't, because that in
Yep.
Tzfat, the Kabbalists of Tzfat started a tradition of doing a Seder Tu B'Shvat, which is kind of this praising the fruits of the land and taking them and learning about them and experiencing them.
And trying to connect to the holiness, the spirituality in every different part of nature.
But growing up, I actually didn't really know about Seder Tu B'Shvat. Tu B'Shvat for me was more about planting trees, because the Zionist movement, when Jewish people returned to the land, the way to connect to the land was planting trees, and they chose Tu B'Shvat as the day where all the youth movements go out to all over Israel and just plant millions of trees every year.
Because officially, from the Mishnah, it tells us that Tu B'Shvat is the new year for the trees.
The new year of the trees. So they said
The
nothing's better.
15th of the month of Shvat. It's, yeah.
But lately, I just read that they actually found in Gniza,
The archives.
in the archive in Egypt from 1,000 years ago, different prayers and things from Tu B'Shvat from 1,000 years ago, from the time when Jews were still living in the land of Israel. They turned Tu B'Shvat into this holiday of connection to the land, and they also were praising the fruits and doing all these things. It wasn't something that started actually later on in Tzfat, but it's a tradition that goes way back. So I feel like I just thought it's amazing that whenever Jews come back to the land of Israel and want to connect to it, they use Tu B'Shvat as the time of connection that happened when the Kabbalists of Tzfat came, and also in the Zionist movement when the Jews started coming back to Israel in these days. So and here,
Right.
and our
I feel like
virtual connection to the
nothing
land.
embodies Tu B'Shvat more than Livnot, which is really just all about the connection between Judaism and nature. We even have this incredible Tu B'Shvat companion, which I was privileged enough to take part in kind of editing. And Shlomo Tal did an incredible job compiling it based on teachings from Michael Levanesh and Yonatan Shumil. There were a lot of amazing people involved in all the teachings that went into this Tu B'Shvat companion. And there'll be a link in the chat for whoever wants to download it and actually use it for your Tu B'Shvat Seder, because it's just an amazing way. It has lots of sources and every one of the 7 species and more, and different fruits and plants of the land of Israel. It's an incredible way to connect to Tu B'Shvat. So highly recommend that. And yeah, maybe we'll we'll start off with a song just before we introduce some of our incredible speakers for tonight.
I just so happen to have a guitar behind the tree.
Oh, also, please feel free to comment in the chat and engage. We wish we could all be sitting together in one large hall and hear each other speaking face to face. But we're also grateful for this ability to connect virtually. And since everyone's on mute, so the chat is our way to speak to each other. So feel free to write, to comment, to I don't know, ask questions, whatever it is that you feel like doing through the chat, and that way we can all kind of experience being here together. And in this awesome evening we have. So maybe we'll start off with a song for the land of Israel. And על הדבש ועל העוקץ, על המר והמתוק, על ביתנו התינוקת שמור אלי הטוב, על האש המבוערת, על המים הזכים, על האיש ששב הביתה מן המרחקים, על כל אלה, על כל אלה, שמור נא לי אלי הטוב, על הדבש ועל העוקץ, על המר והמתוק, על נטע הכל נטוע, אל תשכח את התקווה, השיבני ואשובה אל הארץ הטובה. מרשרש אילן ברוח, מרחוק נושר כוכב, משאלות ליבי בחושך נרשמות עכשיו. אנא שמור לי על כל אלה ועל אהובי נפשי, על השקט, על הבכי ועל זה השיר, על כל אלה, על כל אלה, שמור נא לי אלי הטוב, על הדבש ועל העוקץ, על המר והמתוק, על נטע הכל נטוע, אל תשכח את התקווה, השיבני ואשובה אל הארץ הטובה. Let's do that one more time. Even though we can't hear you, we can see you singing with us. So we want to see everyone's lips moving. על כל אלה, על כל אלה, שמור נא לי אלי הטוב, על הדבש ועל העוקץ, על המר והמתוק, על נטע הכל נטוע, אל תשכח את התקווה, השיבני ואשובה אל הארץ beautiful comments in the chat. It's really amazing to feel like you're all here with us tonight. And it's incredible to see how many people here are joining from really all over. So thank God for the Zoom, and thank you for Livnot for putting this together for all of us. Next, we'd like to hear some words of inspiration about we'll be hearing different words of inspiration about the different species of the 7 species of the land of Israel. And we'll hear first from Aryab and David about figs, and we'll have some more music coming soon. So Aryab and David was the educational director at the Jerusalem campus of Livnot for many years. He also has 2 daughters who did their national service at Livnot. Arya taught for 20 years at the Pardes Institute in Jerusalem. And he currently directs Awaken, which is a center for soulful education, where he teaches how to bring Jewish wisdom from the mind to the heart, to the soul, and into life. So we're very excited to hear what you have to share with us about figs.
Shalom, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Aaron and Miriam. So we're going to talk about figs. And to talk about figs, we have to understand that Tu B'Shvat is really all about love. Love of our nature, love of the natural world, love of the physical world. And if we're going to talk about love, then we have to understand that the fig is the most romantic of fruits. It's the most romantic. Why is that? I mean, look at a pomegranate. A pomegranate's got a thick wall, it's got a hard peel, it's hard to break through. Like, what does a pomegranate say to you? The pomegranate's saying to us, I'm not going to let you in. You're going to have to work really, really hard to get in. I'm pushing you away. It may look beautiful, the pomegranate, but it's telling us, stay away, stay away. I got big walls up. Look at the fig, no walls, a fresh fig, no protection, no klipa, no peel. Now look at the date. What does the date say? The date, like, maybe soft on the outside, but the date, it's got a very hard center. Look at that pit. You can't bite into that pit. It's hard as a rock. The pit has a hard heart, very hard heart. The pit says, I'll let you in, but I'm not going to share with you. I'm not going to open up my heart to you. I'm not going to be vulnerable and loving. And look at the fig. Look at the fig. The fig, you eat the whole thing. The fig says, take me, I'm yours. No walls, come into my life. The fig, no pit. The fig says, you can eat all of me. You can take all of me. You can even take my future, eat my seeds, take all of me. It's not a surprise at all when we think that the fig is the only fruit that's mentioned in the Garden of Eden, when Adam and Eve made fig leaves to cover themselves. So this is what I want to say to us, nice people, chevre. You are what you eat. You are what you eat. Do you want to eat a pomegranate and put up a wall? Do you want to eat a fig, a date and have a hard heart? Let's celebrate the fig tonight. Let's welcome everyone into our hearts. Let's open up our hearts to all of you. Let the fig be our model of love and romance. It's Tu B'Shvat, nice people. Go eat a fig.
Thank you.
Thank you for that very important reminder.
You know, I don't really like eating figs, but I think I'll start after that.
No, there's nothing like picking a fig fresh off a tree. Like if you're walking out in nature and you see a fig tree and suddenly...
It's true, especially outside of Aaron Botzer's house.
Yeah, it's true. So next up, we're excited to introduce Alan Razael for some more music. Very lucky to have Alan here with us tonight. Alan is an Israeli singer, writer, composer, and musician. He lived in Sfat. He's a close friend of Livnot Banot, and he actually won this year the prize of the Ministry of Education for Jewish Culture. So we're looking forward to hearing some music from you, Alan. Toda.
Hi, shalom lekulam. Shalom Yanina, shalom Miriam and Aaron. I want to share with you a nigun that I wrote about a famous tree which is connected to, you talked about romantic. So the first date, not the date of the fruit, the romantic date, which Hashem had with Am Yisrael, was at the burning bush. That's when he told Am Yisrael, I will love you forever. That's why the bush, which is never consumed, is a mashal, is a fable for the connection for Hashem telling us, I know what you're going to go through, but the bush is never consumed. Hasne inenu ukal. So when I came to Tzfat, I was after the army. I was in the army bands, and I came to a spiritual search. Kind of, I lived in Livnot. I'm not next to Livnot. Became very good friends with the Botzers. A lot of my songs were written, even on one of them is on that balcony, which you mentioned before. And I'll tell you, it's in Hebrew. It's just one pasuk. Hasne bo'er ba'esh, ve'asne enenu ukal. The bush is on fire. Behold, but the bush is not consumed. Before I start, I want to just share a little personal story. I'm a grandson of Holocaust survivors, like many of Israelis. My grandmother was in Holland hiding, and she was a yeken, very not religious. My mother became Baal Tshuva. So she always used to say that when I played this nigun, she used to say, Aaron, you're singing that your bush is not consumed, blah, blah, blah. But can I say what I went through in my family that I lost, that my tree was consumed a little bit? I said, Saftafani, I can't argue with you. You're right. Every time I played the song, she used to say, Aaron, I want to tell you that my tree was consumed. But when she was 95 years old, we had a party for her. Almost 50 great-grandchildren sitting around her. And she wasn't so healthy, but she called me. She was very still bright, like Yekim. And she said, Aaron, you remember I used to tell you that my bush, my tree was a little bit consumed? I was wrong. It's very important for me to tell you that I was wrong. I want to go back on what I said. So in honor of Livnot, in honor of Miriam and Aaron, and all the beautiful people I see around the world, I'm here in Yerushalayim. I just got a text message that I have to be in bidud. I don't know what that means. Quarantine, I don't know how to say that. Anyway. V'nei hasne, v'nei hasne, hasne bo'er, hasne bo'er, hasne bo'er, ba'esh. V'nei hasne, v'nei hasne, hasne bo'er, hasne bo'er, hasne bo'er, ba'esh. והסנה איננו קל. והנה הסנה, I see the bush, it is on fire, and through the flames I can hear Hashem whispering to me, you will never ever ever be consumed. והסנה איננו קל, והסנה איננו קל, הסנה בוער, הסנה בוער, הסנה בוער באש, והסנה איננו קל. הנה הסנה, הנה הסנה, I see the bush, it is on fire, it is on fire, oh. הנה הסנה, הנה הסנה, but I can hear through the flames, Hashem is whispering in my ears, you will never, ever, ever be consumed. והסנה איננו קל, והסנה איננו קל, כי הסנה בוער, הסנה is on fire, הסנה בוער באש, והסנה איננו קל, and the bush is never ever to be consumed. Thank you so much, thank you so much. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, Return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you were born and be born again. Relive the lives of your fathers before you, who died with the song of the Lord on their lips. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you are born and be born again. Relive the lives of your fathers before you, who died with the song of the Lord on their lips. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you were born and be born again. Relive the lives of your fathers before you, who died the song of the Lord on their lips. הגיע הזמן הגאולה, הגיע הזמן הגאולה, אני שומע ינום באליה. I just want to finish with something happy, שמח. הגיע הזמן הגאולה is another one of the songs I wrote in Tzfat. Means הגיע הזמן הגאולה, redemption time is here. We know that the trees in these times of the year are pretty empty, no leaves. So how come we're celebrating the trees? So the Kabbalists say, because the trees, maybe the leaves are empty, they fell, but the roots are full of water. The roots, what we don't see, the inside, the pnimiyut, is full of life. It's waiting to burst out. That's why this time of the year is the real Rosh Hashanah of the trees. So even though we're in a maybe not such a easy time, we know that the inside is great. So thank you all. I just finished with the refrain. So do not think so much about if it is wrong or if it's right, or if you're worthy or not worthy to be free. ואל תחשוב כל כך הרבה כמה זה קשה או לא יוצא. לא תדע אם לא תנסה. כי הגיע הזמן הגאולה, הגיע הזמן הגאולה, אני שולח ינון ואליה. הגיע הזמן הגאולה, הגיע הזמן הגאולה, זה בעיניים של כל ילד וילדה. Aaron and Miriam, thank you so much for having me. It's such a big honor, mamash, to be part of this beautiful, amazing family. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron,
Thank you so much.
for joining us. Wishing you good luck and your bidud and your quarantine. It's one of the most amazing things about being able to connect virtually. Who knew that we'd be able to still do performances when we're in quarantine?
Amazing.
But
Thank you
Baruch
so
Hashem.
much.
Great. So next up, we have Gedalia Gerfein. We heard earlier about the figs, and there was even a comment about how we don't want to be like pomegranates. I think Gedalia is going to tell us a little bit about maybe the beauty in the pomegranates, or what it is that we can learn also from them. So we're going to have a little debate here going on between the different, each species, and why they're the best, or what they have to offer, what they have to add. So a little bit about Gedalia. Gedalia was born in the USA. He made Aliyah to Israel, where he became very popular and an influential teacher about Judaism, life, and even the afterlife. He also served as a rabbi. He worked in finance, TV and film, Israel's high-tech sector. Wow. A lot. You got a lot done. And he's been
then
delighting.
By the time I was 15 years old.
And he's been delighting Livnot Schreier with his lively, humorous, and deep teachings for many decades. Gedalia, we'd love to hear from you about the pomegranates.
Oh, for sure. Actually, I was going to talk about pomegranates, but after Rabbi Aryeh slammed, I'm going to turn this into a food fight. So on behalf of pomegranates, and I don't mean hand grenades, I I would just like to say a few words as the pomegranate is viewed throughout the pages of the Talmud. On the most simple level, the pomegranate, because it is one of the 7 species associated with the beauty and the holiness of the land of Israel, was considered to be also one of the tastiest foods in Eretz Israel. And in fact, pomegranate perfection was so important that the Gemara even specifies that only the pomegranates from the land or section of Israel called Baden were considered the premium pomegranates. Pomegranates also were used in clothing. The Talmud gives a recipe for the way that they used to make dyes to put the finest dye colors into one's garments. And the 3 ingredients were tree bark, peels of the pomegranate, and walnut shells. The pomegranate is also used as a metaphor. Okay, maybe this is a little negative, but it is used as a metaphor in terms of court cases. The Talmud says that if you're in a court case and you come out victorious, the analogy is having a basket filled with melons, gourds, and mustard seeds. But if you lost the court case, then it's called having a jar of honey filled with nuts and pomegranate seeds. So that could be a little sticky. However, taking it a little bit deeper, the image of the pomegranate and what it conjures in maybe more metaphysical terminology is explained in the Gemara and Brachot in terms of what happens if you see a pomegranate in a dream. Because we know that dreams, unlike reality, follow the interpretation. So by knowing the metaphor, we can understand what the message is. So the Talmud says that if a person sees a small pomegranate, this means they will have success in business. If they see a large pomegranate, this means they will have a lot of success in business. And if they see a pomegranate split, no, it doesn't mean a stock split, but it means that a person will have a huge increase in wisdom. This is the metaphor of the pomegranate and its association with wealth and wisdom. On a much deeper level, however, is a classic Gemara where Rish Lakish tells us something that is mind-blowing. And here's the good news. Rish Lakish says nobody goes to hell. Kind of amazing. He says even those people who are the most disconnected are filled with good deeds, just like a pomegranate. Now, everybody thinks that since there are 613 commandments in the Torah, therefore it means there are 613 pomegranates in a pomegranate. And I know many people actually sat down and tested it. It doesn't happen. What it means is simply just like the pomegranate is packed with seeds, every human being is packed with goodness. But why is the pomegranate's packed nature being identified with the less spiritually evolved individual? And the answer given is because if you open the pomegranate, you'll see that it has various compartments, meaning that the person has not unified their force in a focus of life's purpose. Yes, they do a lot of goodness, and the goodness is innate, but it still needs to be unified. And therefore, if a person is able to access the goodness in themselves, access the goodness in everybody else, that creates the most vital ingredient to world peace and personal peace, which is unity. So thank you all very much, and go pomegranates.
Yeah, thank you so much. I
Wow.
think we're having
you,
a serious
Gedalia.
color war over here.
Thank you so much for that. Wow, so many different teachings about the pomegranates. And speaking of pomegranates, our next song is actually about a field of pomegranates, Pardes rimonim, and we're excited to have here Eliezer Botzer, who is a singer, composer, and social entrepreneur, but he's also the son of Aaron, Aaron Botzer's son. So we're really excited to
And
have
Miriam.
Aaron and Miriam, of course. And we're very excited to have you here tonight and to hear your song Pardes rimonim. There's actually going to be the English translation in the chat to the song, so you guys can follow along.
Beautiful. First of all, it's beautiful being with you together in this special evening. I was born in Tzfat, in Livnot, in this beautiful family. And it's so beautiful also to celebrate together this special holiday, the New Year of the trees together. There is two opinions in the Talmud about when the holiday needs to happen, when the beginning of the year needs to happen, if in the beginning of the month or in the middle of the month. And the first opinion of Beit Shammai, of the house of Shammai, comes out of the idea of we're symbolized to a tree. So a tree starts, the process starts from nothing. There's no moon in the beginning of the month. But the second opinion of Beit Hillel said, right, we grow all the time in life like a tree, but also like a tree in the seed is the potential. And in the middle of the month, there's a full moon. And this full moon represents our light. And this is the light that we have to spread with the whole world, to share with the whole world. So growing in Livnot, in this family with my special parents, getting this inspiration my whole life of what it means to grow through growing, to build through, to be built through building all the time, to inspire. So it's a huge privilege to be with all of you together. And Chag Sameach. This is Dan Salomon, my partner. צאי לך ילדתי בטוחה בתנועתך, קרוב לתחנה הישנה. עצים מטופחים, המבנים משומרים, יש עוד מסילת פלדה. משכי את ירח, מתמעט ומתעצם, אני כאן להעיד לך, עוד מרחם את בועטת לרחם. הטוב שלך ינצח את כל השברים, ולאט תלכי בפרדס רימונים, תאירי חיים לתחייה מתקיעה לתרועה בתרועה. לכי לך ביתי קשובת מליבך, יש בתחושותייך ישוע. בחרי לך רהיטים היפים לסלונך, לחדרך תזמין לך מציאה. עלי כזורך מתבהר ומתקיים, אני אביך להביא לך מהיוקר של חפצך משתלם. הטוב שלך ינצח את כל השברים, ולאט תהלכי בפרדס רימונים, תאירי חיים לתחייה מתקיעה לתרועה בתרועה. נופת צופים את ילדתי, ילדת הכפר חופשייה. כל מקור אליו תפני, תפילתך היא שירה חדשה.
הטוב שלך ינצח את כל השברים, את לאט תהלכי בפרדס רימונים, תאירי חיים. הטוב שלך ינצח את כל השברים, ולאט תהלכי בפרדס רימונים, תאירי חיים. לתחייה מתקיעה, לתרועה בתרועה. ט"ו בשבט שמח, ט"ו בשבט שמח. We're blessing you over here from the land of Israel with all of the blessings. ט"ו בשבט שמח.
ט"ו בשבט שמח.
Wow, תודה רבה. That was so
Eliezer.
beautiful.
ממש, what a moving song.
Nina was like, is that a green screen? I'm like, no, that's the real deal.
That
Nadim,
view.
so
No,
beautiful.
And that moving song. ממש, תודה רבה.
Right, that was, of course, the song.
So next up, we're excited to introduce Tova Leah Nachmani, who's going to speak to us a little bit about dates. Tova Leah was born and bred in the cornfields of Dayton, Ohio, with minimal Jewish education and experience. In Israel, she studied Tanakh and Jewish thought and is a very popular and influential teacher. Along with her husband, Gabi, Tova Leah ran many Livnot programs as a co-director. And for the past 20 years, she's been a faculty member and a student advisor at the Pardes Institute of Jerusalem. So we'd love to hear about the dates.
Okay. Can I go? Yep. Thank you so much for the introduction. Eliezer, why, Ashreinu, really that was so moving and beautiful. Thank you for the privilege of listening to your music and being inspired. So I want to talk about the date palm. Whenever I travel in Israel, in En Gedi or in the Jordan Valley, I'm so blown away when I see date palms just rising, towering so high. I always have to jump out of the car, stop the car first, and then jump out and take photos of the date palms. There's something so breathtaking and so special about the date palm, and I want to say what it is. For me, the date palm is really, of all of the Shivat Aminim, I don't think we have to like have any more food fights. Gedalia, I'm ready to like just be okay with my. But I want to say something, a few things about the date palm and why it's so special to me. I think the date palm is telling, at least it's telling me something very special. It's saying to me, an amazing thing happens when we stop seeking approval and validation, because we find it. People are naturally drawn like magnets to other people who know who they are and cannot be shaken. The date palm can tower 20, 25 meters high, and that's 24, 25 yards. It stands straight and proud. It doesn't have its hands or its branches reaching all over the place. It knows where it stands. It knows where its boundaries are. Okay? The tree knows where it belongs. It knows how to stay out of places that it doesn't belong. As if to say, nope, not me. I have boundaries. I know where my boundaries end. I know my boundaries begin and end. Right? Shabbat, my family, the things that I hold precious, things that I hold dear, those are the things that the date palm is telling me. In Tehillim, in the Psalms, it says, Tzaddik katamar yifrach, that a person with integrity, with deep integrity, will grow straight and tall like a date palm. And not only that, but they'll give sweet fruit. And I want to talk about the fruit of the dates. I asked one of my children about dates and said, what do you think I should talk about? What should I need to talk about dates. What do you think I should say? She said, Ima, remember when you once dropped a box of dates on the kitchen floor and you asked all of us little kids when we were little, like to scramble around and pick up all the dates, and we picked up all the dates and collected them back. And the next day there was one left on the floor. And remember, you thought it was a cockroach? The dates are so ugly. If you look at a date, look at it. I don't know if you can like actually see this date. It is really a very ugly fruit. But you know what? It's sweet, it's mushy, it's flexible, it's delectable. And dates are my personal role model, because you know what dates are saying to me? They're saying, I can be small and I can be packed with energy. You know that dates are over 65% sugar, but good sugar, not bad sugar. Dates are 65% sugar, at least something between 60+% sugar, meaning I can be small. I don't have to be like everyone else. I don't need approval and validation. I don't need to dress like everyone else. I don't need to act like everyone else. I'm just me. And I have what we call an amuda shidra. I have a spine. I know who I am. I know what I believe in. Then people are going to be drawn like a magnet to me. Because if I know who I am and I cannot be shaken, that's really what a date is saying to us. It's what the date poem is saying, and the date itself. We need to be confident in who we are. I want to be confident in who I am and how much I can give others, right? This date is just so packed with energy. And I want to say two things. One, it's like Aaron and Miriam Botzer and Livnot Libanot. And I want to say that Livnot really, if I think about this quote again, it's a quote I pulled off the internet, but it just really spoke to me. I don't even remember who said it. Sorry for not quoting the source. I'm going to say it two more times. One about Livnot, and one about Am Yisrael. An amazing thing happens when we stop seeking approval and validation. Think about Livnot Libanot. Think about Aaron and Miriam and everyone who's been part of Livnot. When we stop seeking approval and validation, we don't have to act like others. We don't have to be like others. We actually find approval and validation. Everyone who comes to Livnot is so beloved and so special and so accepted, and so just be who you are and go on your own journey and take your own path. And people are naturally drawn like magnets to those who know who they are. That's Aaron and Miriam. You've been models for all of us and everyone at Livnot, and cannot be shaken. And I'll say one last thing about the date poem. That in Shir HaShirim, the most romantic book of the Torah, it says, Zot komatech damta letamar, that the Jewish people are similar to a tamar. I'm thinking, wait a minute, why are Jewish people similar to a date palm? And I think this is at least my association with this, that our job as a people, as the Jewish people, is to be confident in who we are, not to missionize, not to preach, not to shout our message out loud, not to post nasty things on Facebook, not to, right, but to really give others energy, to give others really sweet, powerful, intensive, packed energy. And I feel like that right after Eliezer's song, like that just was such an expression to that, to be a small but powerhouse of energy. Am Yisrael is small. We're always going to be small. We're always going to be small, tiny. We might even look like cockroaches in the eyes of some people. But I want to say one last thing, one last time, this quote, and this is why I would like to be a date palm, and I would like to be like a date, because an amazing thing that happens when we stop seeking approval and validation, we find it. People are naturally drawn like magnets to those who know who they are and cannot be shaken. Tu bishvat sameach.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tova Leah, for those words of inspiration. Mamash. And I guess we're going to hear from Ifat Rafaeli about the olives. Wow, so many amazing fruit to learn from tonight.
And people.
And people, right. Amazing fruit, amazing people. Put it together and you have Tu Bishvat, secret of success. So Ifat started out during doing her national service at Livnot 18 years ago. She's been coordinating programs, teaching, playing music, and guiding at Livnot ever since. And besides being the first to bake challah with chevre in the ancient oven discovered at Livnot, Ifat is also known as a spiritual mentor to many Livnot alumni. She lives in Tzfat with her husband and children, and we're so glad that you can be with us here tonight, Ifat. And
But I don't know if you guys know, but
tell us about the olives.
Cool fact about Ifat is that she's originally from Ra'anana. That's where I grew up. So yeah.
There's a spiritual movement of people coming from Ra'anana up to Tzfat.
Oh, good evening, everybody. It's just such a great feeling to see everybody's beautiful faces. So many teachers of mine, so many friends. I'm tearing listening to you and hearing the music, and just like so appreciating being a part of this. So I want to start with there was a phrase in the Torah that says "Ki ha'adam etz hasadeh," and it translated to cause the the person, tree of the field. And grammatically, it doesn't make sense also in Hebrew. Like there's a missing word there. Is the tree similar to a person? Is it like a person? Like, what are you trying to say? And I always thought of it as the connection between humans and trees is so tight that you can't even separate the two with like putting another word in between, right? Like I always thought like just the wonder of how we literally inhale what the trees exhale and the trees inhale what we inhale in that unity. So the trees, they don't talk with words, but our sages always, especially the Tzfadi sages, they loved just going out to nature and looking at trees and listening deeper and to try to hear their song. So we heard so many of the songs of the different trees this evening, and the message that they have for us, the secrets that they can tell us and teach us. And I wanted to share a little bit about the olive tree. So first of all, I would say that I was always in awe from olives. I don't know if you've ever seen maybe in the land of Israel like a really ancient olive tree. Olive trees, they have this amazing ability about them that they can just, some of them are so ancient, they can grow to like 1,000, 2,000 years. Like just think about this number, right? 2,000 years. You can look at a tree that is like literally that ancient. And always when I looked at olives that were that ancient, I felt like this majesty, this gloriness from a tree that ancient that has been here for so long. They have this trick of they're turning their branches into the ageza, the trunk, and by this they become hollow in the middle, but they continue to grow on the outside. So always when I looked at the tree, I thought, wow, like this is the ultimate like Pocahontas, like speaking tree, right? Like that it just has like so much wisdom for you. He's like, hey, like son, I've been around. Like, let me tell you one or two things that I've seen. But the most amazing things about the olive is that after 2,000 years, or 1,000 years, or even a couple hundred, whatever, you can look at a really ancient tree, and it still gives fruit, like a teenager, right? And this ability of being young and ancient at the same time is what really got to me. So I'll tell you a story. When I was a little kid, my father, Shia Bari, he had an older man coming to him to play chess with him. The older man seemed just like a little lonely, and my father just wanted to give him some company, and they both liked playing chess. So he would bring him to chess chavutas. Okay, and one evening, this old man that was always playing chess with my father, he's like, hey, do you want to play chess with me? And I'm like, nah, I'm not into chess. It's like, if you're already going to play a game, it should be something lighter than a chess game. Too heavy for me. But I said, but I would play backgammon with you. And he said, no, I can't. I don't know how to play backgammon. That's too bad. So I said to him, well, I'm going to teach you. And he looked at me and he said this sentence. He said, with like kind of like a sigh, he said, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And I remember he said this sentence to me, and I was like, it like stabbed me. It like shaked me. I'm like, what are you saying? Like, that's like saying you're never going to learn anything new. So Rabbi Nachman, which is a very popular teacher around here in Tzfat, even though he lived in the Ukraine 200 years ago, he has a sentence that says, it is forbidden to be old, right? Like, now, what do you mean by this? We all gonna be old one day, right? Like, what does it mean it is forbidden to be old? But we all know that you can be 30 years old and you can be old, and you can be 90 years old, and you can be like a child. So really, every age contains certain qualities. It says that there's a few things that you can't take your eyes off: fire and water, and also babies. And why is that? Because these are things that are constantly changing. They're constantly a baby is curious. He's in a constant state of wonder and discover. And it's just like you can't take your eyes off of it because it's constantly changing. Now, really, I'm looking forward for the older ages because I think, wow, like there's such quality in being in that stage of life where you've seen something, right? There's a certain calmness, a certain wisdom, a certain pace that goes along. But when we grow older, do we, and we've visited all those like previous stages of life, do we just want to like put them aside? Like, yeah, once I was a child many years ago, or do we want every stage in life that we're getting to, we want to add that to our backpack, right? Like, is it possible to be old, but having that inner child of you, like so awake, so alive, having inside of you that teenager that really believes that they can change the world, having that adult inside of you that is taking responsibility, that is providing? Can you go through life and continue to live from all of those places inside of you? Is it possible to be young and old at the same time? Can you be like, have that centeredness and that calmness and wisdom of an old man, but to be able to learn to play backgammon for the first time? The answer of the olive tree is yes, you can, right? Here I am, 800 years old, 1,000 years old, 1,500 years old, still giving fruit, still giving birth to new ideas. So may we all merit to be a little bit like the olive in that sense, old and like a baby at the same time.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ifat.
That was beautiful.
Mamash. We're very excited to have some more music coming up from Pesach Stadlin. Pesach has been at Livnot for years, where he's worked as program coordinator, teacher, life mentor. He's an ordained rabbi. He's a wilderness guide. He's a song leader, an experiential educator, an online educator, a musician, a spirit guide, a tree sitter, an interfaith leader, a permaculturalist, artist, and author. Wow. And was part of the founding team with other Livnot alumni at Eden Village Camp in the U.S. Pesach, we're excited to hear some music.
Oh my goodness. Y'all can hear me okay?
Yeah.
It is such a treat and an honor to be here. Thank you, all things Boatsers. May they all be blessed, past, present, and future. You know, Ifat Levana, if I was wiser, we'd just be quiet and meditate on the things that we've just learned. I don't know if I can even speak or sing after such wisdom. How about I'll sing a song, and while we're singing, you're welcome to dance and to meditate, to ponder, to journal about some of the things that we've just learned about the olive and the different fruits, okay? Thank you, Livnot. Your mama's changed my life. This is a song that we sing a lot on the balcony, and we stomp and sing and celebrate nature connection, which Tu B'Shvat is one of our classic nature connection. Holidays, Adama, Adama, Veshamayim, Veshamayim, Choma Ish, Tzlil Hamayim, Ani Margish, Zot Begufi, Beruchi, Venishmati, I love you. And love the sky, heat of the fire, drop of the water, yeah, and I can feel it in my body, in my spirit, in my soul. Yeah, na 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 na. Spanish, Madre Tierra, Padre Cielo, calor de fuego, gota de agua, lo siento en mi cuerpo, en mi espíritu y en mi alma. Hey, ay, 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 can you feel it? Can you feel it in your body, in your spirit, and in your soul? And that's my question for us. Can you feel the elements in the trees, in the rivers, in the forest, in your body? Do you feel it? Do you feel it in your spirit and in your soul? So once upon a time, I was questing for my life, which I still am on that quest, and I was rambling in the blue mystical city of air of Tzfat, and I happened upon a great magical red-headed teacher named Livnot. Maybe some of you have met the great mystical wise sage of the blue mystical city of air. Maybe some of you have met the teacher of fire. Yes, and she told me about a secret code word. The code word was Rebbe Nachman. Okay, the code word's Rebbe Nachman. And so I've been studying Rebbe Nachman ever since I met this red-headed mystic in Tzfat. And I have a little verse from Rebbe Nachman on the 4 elements. Okay, Rebbe Nachman says like this in Likutei Maran, Samech Vav 66, Ha'adam nitava me'arba yesodot, esh, ruach, mayim, afar. וכל אלו 4 יסודות נמשכים מיסוד הפשוט שהוא בחינת הצדיק, בחינת צדיק יסוד עולם. We are made, friends, of the 4 elements. It's in our essence. It's in our higher being. Okay? And, you know, what that means is we are made of the 4 elements, yes? And and the concept of the tzaddik, of being a righteous person, comes from and is connected to the concept of the tzaddik, of being a righteous bringer in this world. My question for all of us is, what is our actual, real, honest relationship with the 4 elements? With the essence of the building blocks of how Hashem built this world? Are we close or are we far? In this world today, I know a lot of people. I run a summer camp that is based on reconnecting, and Livnot is based on reconnecting to these elements. But it's possible today to live a life where, unfortunately, I don't want to speak too much bad because this is a celebration day, but it's possible to live a life where you're divorced from creation. A lot of times people live in cities where the air is polluted, right? Our relationship with the air, we don't get to see the sky, and the air that we do breathe, we forget to breathe even. Did everybody take a conscious breath today? Maybe not. The water, I don't want to talk about the water, but there's sometimes funky business in the water. Okay, it's not always the cleanest thing in the world. The earth, have you heard there is gossip going around that the dirt is dirty, that the earth is dirty? I know people who are afraid to touch the earth. They think it's dirty. Oh. Okay, and fire. Unfortunately, there's also people in the world today, the only fire they get is from an iPad or an iPhone. Okay, they're not sitting around. They're not sitting around connecting to the campfire, connecting to the candles. We are blessed to be a part, to be one with an ancient wisdom tradition that connects us to and through the elements of creation. And don't ever take it for granted that we have this. And so I just wanted to speak to sort of the general framework that many and most of our holidays and rituals and ceremonies connect to. It's rare. You know, some of you live in Tzfat, in Jerusalem, you take it for granted. Oh, everybody has a Shabbos, everybody has ceremonies, everybody has a tree holiday. No, they don't. If you walk in most cities in the world, people don't have ceremonies to celebrate important things. So let's honor it, let's cherish it, let's share it, let's own it. Okay? We have eco laws. We've got holidays that connect us. Let's connect to nature on purpose. That's my mission for us, is that the next time you do a nitilat yadayim, you pour water on your hands, notice that it's water. Okay? Notice that it's actually water. Next time when you eat a fruit on Tu B'Shvat, you say borei preciousness, don't just say it to get the bracha over with. Let's really connect to nature on purpose. In this way, we can fix ourselves and fix the world. Thank you so much for giving me a moment to share. I love Livnot. I love all of you. I miss you.
Wow. Pesach, thank
Gracias.
you. Thank you for those amazing energies and music and wisdom. Yeah, at my time at Livnot, you're a legend, and maybe one day we'll get to meet also not virtually. But I'm excited to introduce next Rabbi Meir Sander, who's going to share some deep teachings about the wheat. And Rabbi Meir Sander has been teaching at Livnot for over 4 years. I remember the first summer that Rabbi Meir Sander came to Livnot, and it was a very meaningful moment for all of us. And since he made Aliyah with his wife, Anne, he's been teaching at Livnot. Before that, he was a rabbi at Young Israel of Sharon for 32 years. He's a director of Tal Orot, which is the Jewish Contemplative Society. And he's dedicated to teaching authentic Jewish meditation and Kabbalah in Tzfat. Rabbi Meir.
Thank you, Nina and Yoni and Aaron and Miriam. It really is amazing to be together with the Livnot family around the planet Earth. It's just an extraordinary experience. You know, I've been asked, as you said, Nina, to speak about the meaning of wheat, the Tu B'Shvat Seder, which I'm pleased to do. Wheat is the first of the 7 species of grains and fruits for which the land of Israel is praised. It's based on the verse in the Torah that says, the land of Israel is a land of wheat and barley, the grapevine, fig and pomegranate, the land of olive for oil and the honey date. You know, so wheat is the first in the list. The Torah speaks of wheat bread as mate lechem, the bread staff. And so it becomes known as the staff of life, wheat, staff of life. Of course, except for those who are gluten-free, okay? But actually, there's an important insight that comes from that exception about gluten-free, as we'll see. Wheat, in practice, is considered the finest of the grains in Torah life, for mitzvot like matzah on Pesach, for challah on Shabbat, a meal that includes wheat. The first bracha usually is going to be for the wheat. Wheat is also, in the time of the temple, wheat was brought as the first offering of fruit, as a blessing for the health of the trees for the year. But here there's a mystery, which is, you know, we think of wheat as a grain, but it's brought as an offering, asking God for the healthy growth of trees and fruit. So what's going on here? So this relates to a Talmudic discussion in the Gemara Brachot about the Garden of Eden. What was the identity of the fruit of the Eitz Hadat Tov V'Ra, of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and bad? That tree in the Garden of Eden. What was the fruit that Adam and Eve ate that was transgressing God's command to them? The fruit that was supposed to give knowledge of some kind, knowledge of good and bad. So the Talmud asks, what species was that tree? And it answers, there's a discussion on that, it's taught, the tree that Adam and Eve ate from, Rabbi Yehuda says it was wheat. Because a child does not know how to call Abba and Ima, father and mother, and begin to speak until he or she tastes the taste of wheat. Wheat was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That was the fruit. In the Midrash Breshit Rabbah, there's a different opinion. Rabbi Meir says the tree that they ate from was wheat, because if a person does not seem knowledgeable, they say of that person, he's not yet eaten his wheat bread. Or as we used to say in the States, he hasn't had his Wheaties yet, or Weetabix if you're in the British Commonwealth. So wheat is associated with the tree of knowledge. Now, there are other opinions on what that tree was, fig tree, etrog tree, but it does seem strange to call wheat a tree. The rabbis suggest that maybe in the Garden of Eden, the wheat stalks were enormous, very tall, but that's a little overly literal, I think. You don't need that. Wheat is associated with knowledge, and so it's associated with the tree of knowledge. But if wheat was what Adam and Eve ate when they transgressed, it seems like a negative thing. And yet it's the first praised fruit of the land of Israel. Maimonides says that knowledge of good and bad is a lower level of knowledge. Real knowledge is a knowledge of truth, which is what Adam and Eve had before they sinned. And we know wheat can be irritating to people that are sensitive to gluten. So it has a negative side to it. And yet wheat is the staff of life. It's the supporter of life for many cultures. It's the focus of many mitzvot in the Torah. So how do we reconcile this? This is a beautiful and really profound analysis by Rabbi Yaakov Leiner, in his commentary Beit Yaakov. It's based on the Zohar, and it says like this. It says, the description of the Garden of Eden, it says, quote, God caused to grow from the ground every tree delightful to the eyes and good for food, and the tree of life in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and bad. So both the tree of life and the tree of knowledge seem to be in the middle of the Garden of Eden. So the Zohar asks, so which one is really in the middle? What's in the middle? And the Zohar answers, in truth, they're one and the same tree. The tree of knowledge is the tree of life. The tree of life is the tree of knowledge. And Leiner explains, it depends on your viewpoint. If we take the multiple and divided world as our starting point for knowledge, then we'll be stuck in the world of divisions, of moral relativism, of shifting opinions, shifting judgments, and knowledge is going to devolve into mere opinions of good and bad. But if we purify our hearts and we purify our minds, and we're connected to God, the reality of God, who is one and infinite, who created all of us together and keeps us all together, one and infinite. If we connect in this way, we develop a consciousness through Torah to become enlightened through being aware of our connection to Hashem's consciousness, to God's consciousness. Our consciousness is connected to God's consciousness. And then we see that reality is really alive. We'll have real living knowledge, not just opinions, not just beliefs or illusions, not just narrow dogmas, but real openness to high, all-embracing divine vision, divine enlightenment. The Torah is a tree of life. To those who know how to relate to truth and to love with open minds and open hearts, to relate to God, to the world, and to everyone. And this is the vision that we want to share, and that we seek to share at Livnot Libanot. It's a vision of Torah and of Judaism that's alive. It's a tree of life. It's wise, it's inclusive, it's opening, it's welcoming to everyone, to the whole world. It's dynamic, it's open to all truth, all goodness, bringing people together around the whole planet Earth, and bringing people together in love and care and responsibility for each other and for the world, and bringing us all closer to God. And this is the deep meaning of wheat, the staff of life, the symbol of the tree of life, and the highest vision of Torah. It's Torah Chaim, the Torah of life. So I want to wish l'chaim to everyone, a happy Tu B'Shvat to everyone. Everyone be safe and healthy, and it's wonderful to be together.
L'chaim, thank
L'chaim,
you. Thank you, Rabbi
l'chaim.
Meir. So we're so excited to invite Congresswoman Kim Schreier, who is serving her second term as a representative of Washington State 8th District. She's a past chaver of Livnot Ribanot, and between her time in Israel and her election to Congress, Kim was a pediatrician. She's actually the first pediatrician to ever serve in Congress. We feel very blessed to have her here tonight live. She's worked on issues that concern healthcare, the environment, and many other topics that are important to her. And Kim lives near Seattle with her husband David and her son Sam. So Kim, we'd love to hear from you about your connection to trees and the environment and anything else you'd like to share with us.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for that really wonderful introduction. That was very kind of you. And thank you for the beautiful music, Nina and Yoni. It's just great to be back with you. I'm really honored to be here with my Livnot Hevre and my Livnot teachers to celebrate Tu B'Shvat. So first, happy Tu B'Shvat to all of you. I spent the summer of 1994, so as I do the math here, 25 years ago, in a combined Jerusalem and Sfat program. And I have come to learn that it was Sfat's very own 17th century Kabbalists who really elevated the celebration and appreciation of our natural world. And this really speaks to my heart and makes me so proud of my Jewish heritage. My background also was planting trees on Tu B'Shvat. And so it was really nice to hear the more in-depth explanation. So I wanted to give you just enough background about me to kind of set the stage for today. When I was in Israel in 1994, I was halfway through medical school. I became a pediatrician, moved to the Seattle suburbs, grew a wonderful general pediatrics practice. And for me, politics has always been interesting, but a spectator sport, and not even once in my entire life ever, even for 1 second, had I ever seen myself in politics. I happen to represent a district, even though I'm on the suburbs of Seattle, a district with vast forests, including Mount Rainier National Park. My district boasts the apple capital of the world, abundant cherry and pear orchards, acres of vineyards, and Tu B'Shvat really celebrates the very trees and vines that are all over my district. In fact, as I was studying, 3 of the 4 types of fruit that we express gratitude for today are major crops in my district. And if any of you happen to consider apple or pear skin to be tough skins, I don't, but if you do, then I'd have 4 of the 4 in my district. And it has been such an honor to work on building resilient forests that resist wildfires, to fund research that helps our orchardists and our farmers, and to see firsthand the work of our small family farms that are already taking those steps to sequester carbon, increase the organic content of their soil, conserve water. And in fact, researchers at our own Washington State University collaborate with researchers in Israel on so many of these issues. Now, just a couple weeks ago, I was appointed to the Energy and Commerce Committee, which has jurisdiction over energy and environmental protections. And I am so excited to be in that place to make even more of a difference. And I cannot wait to join with my colleagues and with an enthusiastic administration to make progress, which will benefit, us, but the entire world. And when the US leads, the world steps up and follows. So there's one more thing that I want to talk about, which is that climate change is not the only crisis facing our planet. And so in our quest to slow global warming, we can't take our eye off so many other serious environmental issues. For example, here in Washington, we boast about clean energy, but we can't just look at hydroelectric power as a source of clean energy, because these dams, 1,100 of them in Washington state alone, they might not pollute our air, but they have decimated salmon populations. And nuclear energy, which we're going to have to rely on, it may be clean from a greenhouse gas standpoint, but radioactive waste needs to be disposed of safely, and we don't have perfect methods for doing that. Even battery storage of solar and wind energy will require heavy metals and mining and potential water pollution. And so as we move forward, these kinds of issues are going to require a lot of study and thoughtfulness. So on Tu B'Shvat, I am so honored to have this opportunity to talk with you, and I'm excited about these new steps. And I will remind all of you that we all play a role here. We all decide how much we drive, whether to carpool, whether to take public transportation, whether we're going to use single-use plastic water bottles, how long of a shower we're going to take, what we're going to eat. And so I would ask you to be thoughtful about your own personal consumption of natural resources as we move forward to protect our environment. So thank you for having me today.
Thank you, Representative Kim Schreier. Next, so our evening together is is coming to an end soon. We have 2 more speakers coming up. Next up, we have Shlomo Tal, who Yoni and I are privileged enough to have spent a lot of time with in Sfat. Shlomo was born and raised in Kazakhstan. He made Aliyah on his own at the age of 15, studied Judaism for over a decade, and has extensive experience in an informal Jewish education, a big part of which was working as a group leader and teacher at Livnot Banot. Currently works at the Western Wall Heritage Foundation as educational content director, and lives with his wife and kids in Jerusalem. And Shlomo and I really led I was a batcher and I got to experience Shlomo at work, and has really so much wisdom to share with us. So Shlomo, we'd love to hear from you about grapes.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. It's such a great privilege, especially spending this 5 years at Livnot, and being so privileged also to also together with Nina to create this Tu B'Shvat companion, and actually really taking this whole Livnot experience, trees and nature, and then bring further to the next step. For me, thinking about actually about Tu B'Shvat, it's all about thinking about the mindset of a builder versus the gardener. When I'm a builder, it's all about, okay, I'm a master, and you, stone, will do what I say to you, and you obey me, and I shape you, and I tell you what to do, and I tell you where to be, and I tell you where to stuck. But when I'm thinking as a gardener, it's a little bit different thing. Talmud is actually referring to the first one of the 6 parts of the Talmud, Seder Zraim, as the seeds side, is to the faith side. Why? Because if you do want to plant something, the first thing that you need to have is actually to really believe in something that you're planting. The seed has to be alive. And the next, it's not about you. You're just a facilitator. It's not about you. You're not making the plant to be what it's supposed to be. You're just there to help it to become what it's supposed to be. You're there to believe in it. You're there to treat it. You're there to give it all the faith that, yes, you can grow. Please be whatever you're supposed to be. And especially celebrating Tu B'Shvat, for me, it's about celebrating being a gardener. And the first human, Adam and Eve, they were placed in the Garden of Eden to become gardeners. And Tu B'Shvat is this holiday which we are celebrating the sensitivity and this mindset of being gardeners. And of course, it's all about the 7 species of the land of Israel, and especially the one that I was asked to present. It's all about the grapes and the wine. So, and of course, the wine is having very special blessing to it. And of course, we're already, celebrating the trees, and it's all about L'chaim. So, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagefen.
Amen. I want some wine too.
Yeah, you can take some out of the fridge. I suppose, I hope that you have. So there is something very special about the wine. The wine, it says that there are lots of things about the wine that we can speak about. A couple of things that that are actually catching up my attention. The words, the wine and the secret in Hebrew have the same numerical value. Meaning when wine enters, the secret is revealed. And when the secret is revealed, it actually stops being secret, right? It's like when something that you say is already out there, spread out, it's not secret anymore. So what is kind of secret that stays secret even being revealed? And here I probably want to connect this all wine and grapes thing to the main topic of Tu B'Shvat. If you're wandering around the world with this kind of mindset, I know everything, I know you, I know me, so you're stuck. You're just this brick which is stuck in this building. But when you say, yo, this whole entire world is full of secrets, and I'm a secret to myself. And every day, once again, I'm revealing the secret out of myself. And I know that I'm much deeper than I mean to be to myself. And also looking at the same person in front of me, I'm thinking, oh, this person is much deeper than they seem to be. So it actually reminds me one very special wedding. And of course, the wine is part of every Jewish wedding and lots of different other ceremonies. So it was at the wedding of my sister. At the wedding of my sister, I was asked to give certain words of wisdom. And I told them, most people say you get married once in your life. And I say, maybe, you know what? I think that you're supposed to get married something like several thousands times in your life. And if every morning you wake up and you look at your significant one, looking at them and you say, I don't know them yet. I want to earn their love once again. I don't want to think and to take everything as granted. I want to watch in the secret within this person. So the secret within this person is something that brings life to everything. The grapevine is something that is bringing life to almost every one of our special ceremonies. And the grapevine is probably, this kind of ingredient that is helping us to remind ourselves first, there is infinite secret inside of you. There's an infinite secret inside the creation. And, every time you look at another person, there's infinite something amazing inside themselves. Just be curious about it. Just be there to be able to recognize the secret and celebrate the secret within the creation. And L'chaim, of course. L'chaim, Tu B'Shvat Sameach.
Thank you so much for that
Shlomo.
reminder.
Mamash.
Such an important reminder.
Constantly experience the secret around us. We're going to finish off with one more song from us and then some words of wisdom from Michael Evanesh. So stick with us, everyone. And since Rabbi Nachman was mentioned here a lot tonight, we figured we'll sing a song that was inspired by his teachings, composed by Nomi Shemer. You're invited to sing along with us. We can see your lips moving.
דע לך שכל רואה ורואה יש לו ניגון מיוחד משלו. דע לך שכל עשב ועשב יש לו שירה מיוחדת משלו.
ומשירת העשבים נעשה ניגון של רועה.
כמה יפה, כמה יפה ונאה כששומעים השירה שלהם. טוב מאוד להתפלל ביניהם ובשמחה לעבוד את השם ובשירת העשבים מתמלא הלב ומשתוקק וכשהלב מן השירה מתמלא ומשתוקק אל ארץ ישראל. אור גדול אזי נמשך והולך מקדושתה של הארץ עליו ומשירת העשבים
נעשה ניגון של הלב. So really the song is about the song that every blade of grass sings, the music in nature that constantly surrounds us, the individual song, how each one is an individual, and the shepherd's song is connected to the song of the grass, it's connected to the song of nature, connected to the song of the land of Israel. And I think it's about, part of Tu B'Shvat is about reminding our ears to listen to that song that nature is constantly singing around us, that the universe is singing to us, and the song that exists within us. So we'll sing one more time with the nine eyes. last words of wisdom for the evening are going to be from Michael Evanesh. Michael is a teacher and an outdoor educator at Livnot, which he considers a spiritual home. He also teaches tour guides and leads birthright groups. He lives with his family in the Golan Heights and loves almonds. Obviously, Tu B'Shvat is his favorite holiday.
Toda. Toda Rabba. All the rest of the 7 kinds are fancy and famous. Who knows about barley? Who cares about barley? And who put me last? In biblical times, barley was raised mainly as food for animals. Poor people would also make do with barley. Wheat always beat out barley in terms of importance, popularity, and everyday usefulness. Barley was the ancient Avis rental car company of the grains. In the Middle East, first comes the barley harvest, which in Israel is around Pesach time. Then about 50 days later, comes the wheat harvest, which is the time of Shavuot. Some saw this as a hint of the Jewish tradition that a person should feed their animals before they themselves partake of food. While this is a beautiful tradition, it doesn't bring a lot of world respect for barley. So with this lowly reputation, what could barley possibly teach us? In the book of Ruth, Naomi and Ruth, the heroines of the story, arrive in Bethlehem right at the beginning of the barley harvest. Both women were widows, unemployed, and had close to nothing. Ruth goes to glean wheat, where whatever's left over, to glean barley, whatever is left over in the newly harvested barley fields of Boaz, the hero of the story. At mealtime, Boaz says to her, "Come on over and join us here and partake of the meal." Ruth wasn't even sitting with them with the rest of the workers. She humbly sat on the side. But after being invited by Boaz, the owner of the fields, she sat down beside the reapers. Then it was time for dessert. The ancient farmer's energy bar, a kind of biblical popcorn known as roasted barley grain. Boaz gives her only a handful of this roasted barley, and the verse says, she ate her fill and had some left over. She later brought these leftovers back to share with Naomi. Perhaps by examining the behavior of Ruth, the quintessential barley woman, we can understand the symbolism of barley. Ruth was humble. At first, she sat on the side quietly until she was invited to join the chevra. And when offered just a handful of dessert, she was full after eating only a little. She could make do with little. But in a relatively short time, this humble woman, a foreigner to Bethlehem and the Jewish people, became what is known as the mother of royalty. She was the great-grandmother of King David, and of course, an amazing woman in her own right. Because of the high energy content and its compactness, roasted barley grains were also the ancient battle rations. Barley is also easier to grow near desert areas. It's more resilient than wheat. David, traveling down from Bethlehem towards the coast, brings it to his brothers in the army. Later, it was David himself who defeated Goliath in the same battle. When he was living on the edge of the desert as a nomad because he was being chased by King Saul, David himself received roasted barley from Abigail, who later became his wife. In short, if you were on the run, you wanted barley in your backpack. So no, barley doesn't get a lot of respect. It's not as fancy and perhaps not as exotically mouth-watering as the other kinds. All it has going for it is its humility. But in the end, it was the barley offering in the temple, the Omer, that mesmerized the entire Jewish people. We count by it still today, even after we don't have the temple. For the 49 days between Pesach and Shavuot, perhaps barley is telling us humility is a great Jewish value. Humility itself can be a path to greatness. And humility does not equal humiliation. The opposite is true. It can prevent it. To be humble does not mean you feel you are worthless. It simply means, as opposed to today's celebrity idols, that what makes a person worthy is that they were born. All humans are worthy. True greatness is achieved not by status or wealth or fame or stats, but by chesed, by kindness, by living a life based on values. Or as someone once said, pride is concerned with who is right. Humility is concerned with what is right. And all this can be learned from the humble barley. So if you're having a Tu B'Shvat Seder this year, don't forget to reserve a little quiet corner on your table for something barleyish. Of course, I didn't mention that barley can also be used for making beer, the alcoholic kind, but that's a different holiday. So I'll end here. Tu B'Shvat Sameach. Toda Rabba.
Thank you,
Tu
Michael.
B'Shvat Sameach, Michael.
And I didn't say, but I was privileged. I'm doing a tour guides course, and the best time I had was the time I was in the Golan with Michael. He took us in the course, and I learned so much. So thank you so much.
So much wisdom. Wow. I want to extend a huge thank you to all the incredible teachers and speakers and musicians who were part of making this evening possible, and all the work behind the scenes that went into it from all the Livnot staff, and to all of you for joining in. It was really special for me to see both familiar faces of past chaver of mine and new faces.
Nina was scrolling through all the faces the whole time. Oh, look at them.
No, but also new faces and beloved Livnot educators and alumni and anybody who's joined in tonight. It's really so incredible. Thank you all for being with us, and stay with us just for one last minute for one last special surprise. I just want to wish you all an incredibly meaningful Tu B'Shvat. It's not every year we get to do a Kabbalat Tu B'Shvat and start preparing for Tu B'Shvat 3 days in advance or even 4 days in advance. So we hope you have an incredibly meaningful one. You can use the Livnot resources. We shared the link and we'll email it to you for the Livnot handbook and all the incredible resources that Livnot has for Tu B'Shvat. And thank you all. Toda rabba rabba.
Nina, can I say
There's a land that we know where the magic air flows. It is holy, you see, all the mystics agree. Come to Sfat, Galilee, bring your whole family. Take arts and crafts to new heights, hike, explore, see new sights. Sing some songs old and newish, make good friends who are Jewish. Shabbat Challah, you'll be loved from our 16th century oven. Holy camp, it's our goal to put a smile on your soul. Magical fun's what we have planned. See you in the Holy Land. Yay! Fun! Come to Sfat! It's gonna be so much fun and magical. Yay!
Nina, Yoni, can I say something?
Yeah, also, I would like an explanation about what that was.
It was amazing.
Listen, let me, first of all, I want to thank everyone who put this together, especially Michael, Yaron, Leah, and of course, Yoni and Nina who hosted us, and everyone who helped. A lot of people helped. Leah, I forgot, who works with me side by side. We're hoping to do something like this every month. And so what we did now, we're going to put it on YouTube, as was said. And tomorrow, hopefully, we're going to send it out with an article that Michael wrote. And also we'll do the companion again. We'll put it out, the companion, so you could print it off or whatever. I mean, we really want to make Tu B'Shvat into an international holiday. That's a goal of ours, a celebration of nature. I want to also, I just want to mention, there's just an article that came out. It says I wrote it. I didn't really write it. Someone else wrote it, about how my life was saved by the carob tree. So we'll also put that out tomorrow to see it. Anybody who wants to see.
Yeah, how is that story not told here tonight?
What?
How is that story not told here tonight?
It's going to be.
You're keeping us hanging.
I guess if we do it every month, we have.
We print it tomorrow.
That'll be next month.
Anyways, I want to thank all of you, and hopefully we'll see a lot of you out here. Remember, we're putting this on YouTube for you to share it with everyone, to put into their own Tu B'Shvat celebrations, nature celebrations. Thank you, all of you, the musicians, the teachers, Kim, and it was great to see your faces.
And the puppets, somebody asked what that was.
Yes, let's hear some more words about this holy camp. We're very curious.
Let me say something about Michael or Yaron. You want to say something about it?
Let's keep it as a teaser. We're planning a family camp in the summer of 2022, and you'll hear all about it soon.
Thank you
Sounds
very
amazing. Where do we sign up?
Very soon, very soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for participating.
Okay. Bye-bye.
It's always
Bye,
hard to, it's always
everyone.
awkward to end Zoom. It's just
How do you end? How do you say goodbye?
bye.
Thank you everyone for joining. No, maybe we'll sing a nigun while people log out or something. This is for you to exit with music.
You guys could leave
You don't
while
have to stay.
we're singing. You don't have to be here. This is like for the non-awkward ending. It's
not a test. You don't have to stay.
Okay, you need to sing. So whoever is still here, we're gonna have to have that awkward ending. So,
Bye,
okay
everyone.
now.
See you in Sfat. See you at Livnot.
Tu b'Shvat Sameach.
Tu b'Shvat Sameach.